Hello. Just gonna do a mic check here and a delay check, since every single time I do this, the delay seems different. Let's see if my offset is gonna work. All right, seems okay. I'm also gonna test this this little fan here, because this might be too loud to use. I've kept meaning to do this. I've been soldering on stream, but I'm in a closed room, which is, you know, not great for your lungs. Let's see how loud this is. This might be prohibitive here. It's pretty loud. So I'm waiting for stream to catch up. All right, it's not the worst. I think I'll save my lungs at the cost of a little bit of noise. Okay. All right. Put this away. Hopefully chat will work today. I put in a little bit of JavaScript to hopefully keep it scrolled to the bottom, which seemed to be the problem. I also moved chat invisibly into the loading animation screen. So if for some reason I do need to stop or pause for a moment, it should stay loaded underneath, which should hopefully keep it there. Because I think that's what broke it last time, was I scrolled away, or I showed the loading screen, which did not have the chat loaded into memory. It then reloaded when I switched back to the primary view. Reloading it caused it to not scroll all the way to the bottom, and this is a giant CSS, HTML, JavaScript hack to get it in there. And one of the few things that's present all the time that makes me want to switch to Twitch, but I have one problem with switching to Twitch, which is that my username is not available on Twitch. Somebody has it, and even though they have never been active, I guess they log in every now and then, and all Twitch requires is that you log in once every now and then, and it will keep your username. So this person has continued to log in at least once every 6 months, even though they have no content. They haven't even set their profile icon, whatever, but they're holding the username, unfortunately. So, and I actually had to get to 100 subs on YouTube before I could even get this username, because before that it's just this random character mess. So, I don't know. I'm on YouTube for now. Twitch would, I think, long-term be a better solution, or at least dual streaming to both. But then that's got its own problems where the chat is stuck on one or the other, because I'm not gonna pump both versions of chat into the stream. So anyway, so I lubed all of the Helios off stream. I did the dumb thing where I was thinking of this keyboard as an 80, like literally just 80 keys, which it's not. It's an 80%. And so because of that, I only lubed 80 keys, which is pretty hilarious. Did this thing not heat up? What's going on here? I only lubed 80 keys. Whoa, what's going on here with this tip? Okay. Hold on. This tip is not working. The soldering iron claims to be heated up, but it is not actually. There we go. That was really strange. I think I had a glob there that wouldn't go away. So I lubed 80 switches, only then to realize I actually needed, I think I need 89 in total. One of the things that I'm gonna do with this leaf that I wouldn't normally do, but I'm so sick of the stabilizer thing, as I've been complaining about nonstop, is I'm cutting this to as few stabilizers as I can. So normally I wouldn't do a split backspace on a TKL, and I probably wouldn't even do 175 shift and a function key, but because I don't want stabilizers on this board wherever possible, I am doing split backspace, I am doing the short shift and the function key to the right of it, so I then only have to do stabilizers on the left shift, the return key, and the spacebar. I also, can I turn the dubstep down a little? Sure. Yeah, it's always hard to get, a Spotify volume that is, let's try it, also a different song. Tell me if that's better. It's hard to find a good volume so that it fills the air but isn't overwhelming. Just let me know if that's better. So yeah, I cut it down to 3, and I lubed this time with super lube on the stabilizer stems, dielectric in the main area. It's Band-Aid modded. I don't normally use super lube, but I've seen a lot of recommendations for it for stabilizers lately, so I'm giving it a try. It's certainly more sticky initially, but then I tried it with switches and with keys, and it seemed fine. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to solder those switches first, and then try them with a plate on, because I'm a little nervous that I might need to fix them if they're too gooey. The super lube is pretty sticky, and we'll see how that goes. So yeah, just trying to cut down on stabilizers as much as I can. And let's just give this a shot. So just want to make sure, and it really took a long time to figure out on this board what I was going to do layout-wise, because the bottom row is has a lot of options, and there's absolutely no guidance on any. So this was a Z Frontier run, and there was no guidance on the possible layouts. So I just sort of had to just look at what I saw and hope. I tested all the switch. I shorted all of them, and they all worked, so should be fine. But yeah, it's a little silly to not have a layout map of some kind when you're selling a keyboard. Whatever, not a big deal. All right, so let's just put... I saw somebody said they had a fixed plate version of this custom made that they requested. I'm actually not even sure. Let's get rid of this one. The spacebar on this is kind of in a weird spot. It's like right in the left. Is it all the way left? I can't remember. I'm gonna have to test. I think it might be all the way left on this. Okay. I preemptively checked all the leaf legs of these switches to make sure none were bent, but that doesn't mean I won't bend them again, so I'll try to remind myself. Mid-soldering. I don't know what I'm doing here. Should definitely be putting a switch in the corners here to balance this out. I'll do one. So I'm trying to... It seems a little silly with my arbitrary selection points for switches, but I looped this whole bag at once. There's like 82 or so in here, and then when I realized I had miscalculated and needed more, I looped those in a separate go. And while I looped them in the same manner, I always have this like obsessive compulsive fear that they'll feel a little bit different. So I'm going to be a little selective about... I'm being stupid here. I'm going to be a little bit selective about where I put some of these switches. Like, I'm going to put the ones that I did last in the less used regions of the keyboard, just in case they feel slightly different. There's no switch top removal on this board, so I just want to be a little bit careful about it. Did that one fall out? Because like I don't use the you know, print screen or buttons in general, so I'd want to... I'm gonna have to remember exactly where this is gonna go. So I'm not gonna solder this bottom one because I need to work out from the corners on the placement in the bottom row so I can remember where these are gonna go. I really hate boards that support both ISO and NCF. It drives me nuts. The return switch is always difficult to get exactly straight because when plates have that, and I don't know. Everything I always read from other people, it's very uncommon these days in the community to make ISO boards, and I just think, I know I'm being anti-Europe or whatever. I'm not trying to, but my preference would be that we don't do that anymore by default, and that's a specialty thing, because it just makes the it makes them, it's non-optimal. Okay, I'm gonna do this one first just to test. All right, so you tell me if this, except for nearly everything is, yeah, I know a lot of people do it, certainly, and a lot of people like it. It's just that it's the it's the plate that tries to support both that I think is a failure. I just feel like it should be, it's one or the other, you know? I don't know, is it as bad? If you're making an ISO board out of a board that supports both, do you have the same problem? Does it feel like the ISO placement is also kind of rickety, or does that mostly go non-ISO? All right, you let me know if this fan is too much. It's pretty loud, but if anything, it's just drowning out the horrible Spotify music, so. I had too much caffeine today. Soldering's gonna be fun. Boy, this tip is like not hot today in a weird way. I'm gonna try not to touch also the soldering iron like I almost just did. Come on. Alright, let's just, I'm gonna throw, hold on, I'll turn this off. I'm gonna throw a shift on there real quick. And we'll try, just to make sure that, good lord, I have two. So I'm gonna put SA Oblivion on this thing, and I bought every single SA Oblivion kit. So that's gonna be fun, because I gotta figure out which ones I wanna end up using, but same issue. Yeah, I mean, I totally get that argument too. It's just I will never end up making my own plates, probably. All right, let's see. All right, yeah, it feels fine. Sounds good. I was a little concerned because that super lube, like I said, is a little sticky, and it seemed like it wasn't going to be very smooth, but in practice with the weight of the cap and with the switch action, it feels fine. It's nice and quiet too, so yeah. All right, cool. I can solder this thing. Oh, come on. Okay. So let's just go ahead and do. All right, turn this thing back on. Custom plates for all builds. Wow. What material? Are you mostly doing like polycarb, or are you doing like aluminum or? Boy, the light being right overhead is a little odd with reflection. It makes the solder actually really hard to see. Nice. Yeah, I'm generally not a big fan of flex either. I like the sound of polycarbonate in general, especially with SA caps, but yeah, flex wise, not as big of a fan. My only concern with this board, in general, PCB-wise, is there is one spot on the return key where the screw-in stabilizer meets the, let's see if I can show it off. It's right here. The screw-in stabilizer, the screw is bridging, or could potentially bridge, the LED spots there, which Shouldn't be a problem even if it does bridge them. I mean, at worst, it would be, you know, telling it to turn that LED on or whatever. So I don't think it matters too much. But it's interesting to me how frequently that happens on PCBs lately, where screw-in stabilizers are really common now. And I still find a lot of cases where the holes for the stabilizers will bridge. What board did I build? The Accent had a really big... please move the shift key from under your soldering iron. Well, you don't want me to solder this? You want me to solder the tip of this? Yeah, rubber washer, a bit of tape. I used a bit of tape on the Accent to fix it. But it's just strange. You would think by now, it obviously was less common in the past to have screw-in stabilizers, or at least it seemed to be less common, but by now we've gotten to the point where almost everybody seems to prefer them. So it's just a little strange that it's still such a common issue in design. Materials I prefer, so if I go it's hard. I really like carbon fiber. I like the way it sounds. But I don't know. Brass I tend to like a lot. I think the plate steel is my least favorite, probably. Just as like the cheapest steel feel. If that, I didn't mean to make that rhyme, but yeah, I really like carbon fiber a lot. I have 2 boards that I did with carbon fiber and really enjoyed. I really enjoy the way those feel. For some reason, you know, I still type almost entirely on SA caps, which I know people think is stupid, but SA sounds really good on carbon fiber. Okay, so let's start putting these onto this side here. Now these are the keys that I lubed on a different pass, which again, I lubed them exactly the same way, but just in case, we'll put them over here. Go in there, you bastard. Interesting. Huh. Oh, well, it would make sense since this switch isn't closed. How did that happen? Cool. Carbon fiber's good. Yeah, the only thing that sucks about carbon fiber is I actually don't like the way carbon fiber looks by default. I'm not a huge fan of that braided texture look, but you obviously don't really tend to see the plate anyway, so it's not a big deal. I almost just pulled on the USB for leverage there. Good. But yeah, I like the way it feels. I made a Royal Glam wooden case board that has a carbon fiber plate, and the carbon fiber sound against the wooden case is quite nice. Then I went and ruined it with box whites, so it clicks like hell, but it still sounds nice. Alright, we'll use black spray paint. Yeah, it's true. Alright. You know what, maybe we'll start with the corner. I definitely have been spoiled lately by hot swap sockets. I prefer the stability of soldered boards, but I'm lazy as hell, and like, especially, I've never built a TKL actually. The biggest I've ever built is a 75, so I was sort of dreading a solder work here, just the amount of it, but I'll survive. Okay. It would be having an easier time here if my the tip of the soldering gun wasn't having weird heat things. It seems better now, but it still occasionally doesn't seem to melt the solder as fast as I would expect. I haven't used it in a few months actually, so I probably should clean it instead of just melting a little bit on the tip and moving on. Fan seems to be working. I'm not really smelling any solder smell, so that's good. My lungs are happier. What color case for the leaf? Oh, it's black. Black with white plate. I kind of started... So for a while there, I was buying a lot of space gray style, like any dark gray I could get my hands on board-wise, because I was using it next to, MacBook Pro. But over time, as I was building out the office, and I've started using my PC a lot more, and this is primarily going to be used for gaming on the PC, I've started switching to mostly just black, because everything else in the office started becoming black. There was a while there where I was trying to stick to the space gray for everything, hardware-wise, but it became untenable, and the bigger problem that I have is unless it's Rama, for the most part, everyone else making space gray is not getting close to the actual Apple space gray, so I just switched to black. But that does have the weird side effect of, like, I'm building, multiple keyboards. They're all just black. I could see an argument for, hey, if you're going to keep building boards, might as well have some variety, but at the end of the day, I still want to use it and have it look good on the desk. Plus, caps are obviously the primary customization point at that point. So like the CA66 that I have coming is also black. My Grid 600 is also black. The CA66 obviously has the little, brass inlay, so it's got a little bit of style. And I actually ordered the titanium inlay as well, just to have a little bit of an option there. You know what? Let me quickly put a switch right in the center here, because I'm putting a lot of pressure on the middle of the board. Yeah, black has just been the safer way to go in this space. Like, the Accent Space Gray is better than some other Space Grays have been, but even so, it's a more, like, brown-purple Space Gray, whereas the Apple's is a more brown-gray Space Gray, if that makes any sense. Rama's, I forget what it is, M6... I forget what the small 6-key or 7-key, not this one. Oh, I can't even show it. Hold on, let's see. Not this one, which I think is the B something, M60B, I can't remember, M20B. Not that one, the smaller one, which he's still making today. This one is the one that ran through mass drop, and it was a disaster metals-wise. The one I have is supposed to be space gray, and it's straight up just silver. And not as in an error, but literally, like, they just did not even get close to nailing that color. So that's a real disappointment. And that actually started me realizing that unless I was going to be able to get every single board I made from Rama, I needed to pick a different color, because the space grays just were not coming out nice at all. So yeah, black has sort of been the... I guess I got a space gray pearl, and it's pretty good. But again, not exactly the Apple color. At this point, I'm also just waiting for a Mac Pro anyway, so long-term, MacBook Pro won't... Woohoo! I set my lap on fire. Long-term, I won't have a MacBook Pro sitting on my desk, hopefully, at some point. Maybe in the year 2025 when they get around to it. But for now, I do, unfortunately, have it sitting there. Even though it's closed, it's been in clamshell mode for 2.5 years. Sorry, I almost burned myself. Then the battery exploded the other day, or near exploded. So I had to get that repaired, which is fun. I love the Pearl so much, it's just, I can't type on it. I can type emails on it, which is fine. If all I did all day was just email people or browse the internet or chat, I would mostly be able to get away with it. But I can't work on it at all. Like, I can't write Swift with it. I know a lot of people can. I know a lot of people are great with 40s, but I keep buying them because I love the way they look. I think the Pearl looks so neat. It's like such a... To me, it's pretty much the ultimate 40 design. And I love it. I love the way it looks, and I love typing on it, but the slightly off stagger is a problem for me, and I cannot use that board for Swift without actively using at least 2 layers at a time. And I know that if I practiced it, you know, day in, day out for a couple of weeks, I'd probably get to the point where I could, you know, I could be passable with it, but it's never going to compare to just using a real keyboard. And sometimes at the end of the day, it's like, you know, I gotta get work done. I don't have time to force myself into these ridiculous layouts. More power to people who can, you know? I'm sure there are a lot of people who are just as productive on a 40. I mean, if you look at Geekhack or any of the chats or Reddit, lots of people love them and lots of people use them full time, and I that's really cool. But second I have to do curly braces, then a quote, then a backslash, then a comma, then another quote, tabs, arrow around, it just like, it gets to the point where I'm just basically courting at that point. I'm like a court stenographer, and that is not conducive to quick work for me. And I have this thing, so I got pretty decent repetitive strain injury on my right arm. I have what is effectively golfer's elbow. I've never golfed in my life, but the inside this nerve spot is constantly uncomfortable. It sends pressure and pain into my wrist and fingertips, and what that causes, oddly, is claustrophobia, which is weird. I don't exactly know how to explain it, but when I start to get a lot of pain in my arm, if I have a particularly long week, or I'm not careful, or I'm not sitting correctly, or I get lazy, or I switch over to a laptop temporarily, I start to get more and more pain, and it causes me to be less useful with that hand, and it causes this weird sense of claustrophobia. The 40, even when I'm not having pain, gives me that feeling the entire time. It's like, it's this weird version of claustrophobia. Like, I know how to do this, I know how to type, I'm a fast typist, I can do this, but because I have to mentally jump through the hoops of how this keyboard works, I start getting this weird anxiety feeling from it. Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, if I devoted, a few weeks to it, I could probably get there. But in the meantime, it's just easier to use a board that I know I can type on. So let's start the primary keys here. I am going split backspace, yes. Though I'm going split backspace, but then I will probably put both keys as backspace, which I know is absolutely asinine and people don't understand. I think I talked about it I can't remember if I talked about it in my M60 stream or last week or whatever, but I switch boards so frequently that the split backspace as an actual split backspace is problematic for me. However, I don't want a stabilizer on this board anywhere that I can avoid it. So I am going to go split backspace, but I may just program them both to be backspace. That being said, in the last week or so that I've been, or 2 weeks, however long it's been since I built the M60, I have found myself reaching for the split backspace as a feature. Oh, damn, it's another one that's not closed all the way. This one seems like I might have damaged the... shit. Alright, that switch is going to have to sit out. That might be an alternate. I may try to actually do the split backspace thing for a while and see how I like it, because I'm realizing that while I can't necessarily make a split backspace on a laptop, given the current state of tools in OS 10, I don't have to type on a laptop very frequently, so it's possible that I could do it. Obviously, I can do split backspace on most of my boards, so I'm willing to give it a shot at least. So I may try it, but at worst, I will. I don't like the way that sits in there. At worst, I will program it to be multiple backspace keys. But yeah, I'm just trying to avoid the stabilizer. I I'm so sick of stabilizers across the board. I just absolutely hate them. Obviously can't avoid some of them. And I just, yeah, I'm sick of it. So I'm going to minimize. I'm also doing the same small right shift, 175 right shift, just to get rid of stabilizer on that key. Actually don't really use the right shift at all in normal typing for some reason. I probably should, but I don't. So the right shift has actually never really been an issue. And I will just throw a layer key on the side, even though with the TKL, I don't know, I actually really plan to use layers for the most part. Except for the fact that I would still love, I'm pretty sure Leaf is boot mapper, so I don't really think I have much choice, unless somebody has made it so that I can convert it to QMK. Right shift for question mark. Yes, I will use right shift for question mark sometimes. It's weirdly dependent on what I'm doing and where my hands are on the board at the moment, but yeah, I agree with that. I wish every keyboard could just run QMK, but if this is indeed boot mapper, then I can't do layer toggles, which is like my favorite feature of QMK, which is what I use to create my arrow shortcuts for any 60 or HHKB layouts, which is that I put space becomes a layer toggle, so spacebar is space when pressed once, and when held becomes the toggle for the arrow keys, which I use on J, K, L, and I, because I don't like the Vim. I don't like the Vim style. For some reason, I'm not a Vim user, so I never got used to the Vim style, and I don't like the HHKB style because it, unless I'm insane, it requires using your pinky, and I don't like that. I got weak pinkies, apparently. Actually, more it's just that my pinky is the finger on my right hand that has the most RSI pain in it after lots of typing, so having it be a press and hold key is not ideal for me, especially when I spend a lot of my day using arrow keys, just given the fact that I'm constantly editing existing code, so I'm moving selection around a lot and that stuff, so. What's the MCU? Actually, I don't know. Hold on one sec. The Leaf is actually surprisingly undocumented. Like the IC page, the group by page, like they don't really document much about the PCB, which is kind of weird. Like they didn't even post a single picture of a layout other than the renders of the fully built keyboard, but every single render photo was WinKeyless. I don't even think they rendered the the WinKey version. Almost there. Actually, don't understand why this. It must have just been a machining convenience that this PCB has the extra holes around some of these spots. I would assume it was for convenience, but it's kind of strange. Okay. So, start with those. Let's see if I got all my legs in there. A second. Okay. This is an Atmega 32A. I can't remember. 32. I think 32 can be ported. Was it 32 or was it 64 that could only be ported? I don't remember. This is an Atmel. No QM. Is it 64 is the only one that can be ported? I don't remember. I can't remember which one I did port. Oh, 32U4. Okay, yeah. Interesting. Okay. And I forget the Proton thing, which I was not paying attention to, but saw. What is the deal with Proton's compatibility? I don't remember. Is that what it's called, Proton? The Proton C or whatever? I'm gonna try not to touch anything with this as I It'd be great if I just stuck this right into the camera. There we go. Alright, back to it. I think one thing I might invest in soon is a desoldering pump that actually has a vacuum or whatever attached to it, because I had to desolder something the other night, and I've got a good desoldering like hand pump, but I find that I'm still having problems where the solder that gets into the between the stem leg, it'll travel a little bit too far up the stem leg, and so when I desolder pump, I frequently will have to like add solder again to get a fresh, basically to get a hold on it, so I can then pull it off. And I would prefer something that has just like a has a little more continuous suction. Sports mode stuff, problems with split boards when using one in slave mode. Interesting. But can the proton be added to? Like, I should just do research, but I saw something about the proton the other day, and I wasn't even sure what its requirements were for attachment. Like, for instance, this board has a bunch of pads over here on my left, down here, and I actually don't know what these are, but these pads, actually, that just might be... Is that just LED stuff? Those actually look like LED. Okay. Huh, maybe this board's had some sort of support for some LED run on the right side of the board. I mean, my assumption was that proton had to go directly into the main controller somehow, but I actually didn't look. Well, no, I guess it couldn't, right? Because it adds USB-C, so I guess it has to go at the USB connector, unless it can just be daughtered. Maybe it could be daughtered, I don't know. I should just look, do some research. QMK is a really amazing piece of software. It's kind of crazy to me how pervasive Bootmapper still is, given how much worse I think it is. I mean, I get the idea of the ability to, obviously just configure via a GUI. I get the, there's a huge benefit to that, but it's not gaining features at all is a little bit frustrating, whereas QMK has a much larger feature set to begin with, but also is continuously updated, etc. So, and the ability to just go in and do whatever you want with QMK is pretty huge. So actually on the M60, that's for hand wires. Oh, okay, I didn't realize. I'm sorry. I thought I read something that could be attached to an existing board that did not support QMK to create QMK support. I don't know why I assumed that. I think I just read a bad Reddit post at some point. Yeah, see, like VIA, right? So VIA's cool and works pretty well. But the best part about VIA is the fact that you can just go in and add stuff to it. So with the M60A, for instance, VIA does not support layer toggle currently. And I understand why, because it's a complex feature compared to how they are supporting the other features. So I went in there, I just downloaded the source of VIA, and I just hacked in my own layer toggle support, which it would not work for a wide release, because I hard-coded some of the stuff in there to get around the work that they're going to need to do, that Olivia's going to need to do to get it in, or somebody's going to need to do to get it in, because there's a bit of there's a missing piece on VIA right now, which is that you need to be able to ask the user to do additional configuration, which currently in the feature set of VIA is not a thing. So obviously with a layer toggle, you would need to ask a user to choose to pick the key that is the toggle and then its action. And so there needs to be just a little bit of additional UI added to do that. And I am just don't have the time to add that sort of thing as a pull request, but I was able to go in and manually hack in what I needed, which is great, because then I can still use, with my build, I can still use VIA to tweak anything else that I need to tweak on the fly, but also my manual addition of layer toggling, makes VIA still do everything I need to do, which is really neat. Yeah, I would love to just make a pull request for it, but like I said, unfortunately, it is going to require a little bit of UI work to add true support for it, and so my addition is manually specific. So like I don't even provide it as a UI option. Right? It is something you can tap in the macros section or whatever, but it is actually just a fixed LT that is space to layer 2 or whatever, and it uses the specific QMK bit shifted stuff manually. Like it doesn't go and look up. There's kind of like this whole lookup table in there where it'll like look up QMK codes and shift them around to make them work. I just manually passed the actual shifted, like I just looked up what it was and passed it directly. So what I did wouldn't work as a pull request for the repo, but it works for me currently, given my very specific needs. So that's a really neat ability. Whereas Bootmapper just, it is what it is, and I'm not able to add anything, and it straight up doesn't support layer toggling anyway. So, which is a bummer, because that kind of stuff is what makes having a custom keyboard like that much more worth it. Bootmapper obviously by default has better support for LED stuff, than QMK does, but that stuff is obviously changing with things like VIA, where VIA has better LED controls in it. There's definitely a promising future there of VIA. I don't write Node normally, so otherwise I would just go and add the support for myself. I mean, granted, Node is basically just HTML and JavaScript and CSS and stuff, but as soon as I started digging into the code for how the app worked, I was like, no, this is not for me. One thing that's really neat that I actually wish Xcode would have is just the ability to quickly live compile after saving a change. I think that's really cool. So it made the troubleshooting of what I was doing that much faster, because it would just immediately recompile and show it. Plus the ability, since it's live connected to the keyboard, it would push the changes right away to the hardware. I think that's one of the coolest things about the VIA right now, is like the no firmware stuff where it's just live updates the board. That's really neat. So like that's where something like VIA is going to be a huge help for everybody. So it was pretty cool to do, but yeah, like I said, my change would be immediately rejected as garbage. But it works currently on my keyboard. I will say that installing, I did not have Visual Studio. I do all my work on a Mac, so I didn't have Visual Studio or I didn't have Git installed. I didn't have Python installed. Any of that stuff in Windows, and the level of installation garbage to go through to get to being able to compile a Node app on my PC was not fun. Huh, interesting. Okay. Yeah, I don't remember. I ported one board from Bootmapper to QMK, and it worked, and I don't remember what board it was. I want to say it was the M65. Is it the M65? That doesn't seem right. Maybe it was? I don't remember. There was definitely a prominent board that was portable. Oh, no, I'm sorry. It was the Pearl. It was the Pearl. Wasn't it? I think it was the Pearl. It shipped with Bootmapper and was ported, or you could switch it to QMK. And that was pretty straightforward. It didn't work. For some weird reason, I was not able, I still to this day am not able to connect to the firmware of that board with a Mac. Like when I put it into reset, like DFU mode or whatever, it will not, the Mac does not accept it. It will not read it or connect to it. I don't understand why, because obviously the keyboard works fine on a Mac when it's programmed, but it will not, I cannot use it in programming mode on a Mac. So I had to end up doing all that QMK dance firmware switch on the PC. Which again is not the worst, but my tools are all set up on the Mac, so it's always a pain when I have to go in and install more stuff on the PC to get it going. So. Yeah, that board was not connectable at all when I first got it. I thought I had a bad PCB. And then I can't remember what I had to do. Like, I couldn't even get it to connect on in Windows, in programming, in DFU mode or whatever. But I don't remember what the steps were, but there were some steps I had to take to get it to function, and then since then it's been just fine, but I cannot program it on a Mac at all. It will only enter DFU mode connected to a PC. And I feel like I asked Koob why, and I don't think he had an answer. I don't think he had that problem. Maybe it's something, I don't know. Weird. I mean, it's not a huge deal. It's just all my tools are set up on that side. It's like one of those things I keep meaning to do also is to do a pull request to add my layouts to QMK, because I have a pretty specific layout that I use on almost all boards, and so I should just get around to adding it, but I don't know, time is always a problem. Speaking of time, like, I'm halfway done here. What a pain in the ass. My next goal, streaming-wise, is I've really got to get to a point where I can. I think the only way that I can keep streaming builds is I'm gonna need to start building for other people. So I got to do some prep work for how best I can do that, but I really enjoy building keyboards, but I'm starting to hit sort of a critical mass on, I've built, I don't know, 8 or 9 boards this year, like 13 or 14 boards in total. And it's starting to get to the point where, like, it really just makes no sense to keep building so many boards, but I enjoy it so much. And I'm trying to figure out the best way to, like post on Mech Market or something, just to start offering basically, hey, you pay for the parts, you pay for the shipping, but then I'll build it for you for free so long as you let me stream building it. That way I just kind of have an endless supply of being able to build whatever. Because there's lots of boards I think that look really cool and would be fun to build, but that I don't necessarily want the board long term. I can't remember what it is. I saw an interest check for like I think it was called like Thermal. No. Thermal is the one that has not. There was some Dolch name. That name is too used. So, but there's a lot of. Anyway, there are a couple of really cool looking boards that I know I won't use, but I'd love to build. So, you just joined as the new co-host of Top Clack. Oh, hey, congratulations! I've been slacking in my keeping up on all things YouTube during the break, but so I haven't seen the last few weeks worth of content, but that's awesome. I assume. Oops. I assume it'll still be. It'll still be both of you, and then like a rotating guests. Cool. Very cool. Toppack still very much a terrific source of both news, tips, etc. Also, I enjoy the regularity. One of my favorite things, I mean, honestly, I've got a lot of problems with YouTube from a corporate level and all those different things and whatever, but I think YouTube is still one of the cooler things that exists. Like, the ability to just have anybody in the world create content that everybody else can enjoy, and like, I really enjoy the regularity of content from people. Like, it's fun to be able to just see somebody do the same thing regularly, and there's a comfort in it. And obviously Topclack, you know, years now of just the standard go-to, you know. If you wanna see what people are doing with keyboards, like, Topclack has always been a really fun place to go. Also, like, a lot of I use Topclack a lot to figure out like what's coming out. Like, I'm lazy. There's a lot of places to get keyboard content, and I find it overwhelming, and so it's kind of nice to have somebody else like sort of filter out the noise and point at interesting stuff, and it's really cool. Yeah, I know. It's like, it's weird, you know. Now I can't imagine a world without YouTube, but the fact that it's only been around for a very short time is crazy. Twitch too. I mean, it's not just YouTube, obviously, but like, you know, to me, they're all kind of in the same boat. Obviously, it's like just the ability for anybody to go and create. And, you know, before this, I did a lot of podcasting for many years, and that was super fun. I still love podcasts, and I would love at some point to get back into them. But there's something to me about the ability to just, I don't know, just do it all in video. Like, I don't know. It's really cool. I'm also notoriously bad in my life about, like, knowing what I don't know. I should join the Discord channel. You're all right. I don't tend to, like, you know, when I got into keyboards, I did, I think, what everybody else does. I started with joining, you know, the Reddit mechanical keyboards community, which is a very specific type of content, and then that led to Geek Hack, and Geek Hack was obviously, like, goes a lot deeper, and, you know, then at some point I was in Slack, and, like, I started building my own boards, and I tried to, you know, keep abreast of everything, but, you know, I don't have a ton of free time with 2 small kids and running a business and all that, so it is a little hard to keep up on everything. So, you know, channels like Topclack have been really helpful because I can, you know, get a lot of info in a short amount of time. But also, I'm not a specialist, you know. I don't know. I see everybody talk about, you know, actuation and all these different things in such specific details, and I don't know. I guess I would be, you know, I would describe myself as like a normal person when it comes to mechanical keyboards. Like, obviously, I don't think it's normal probably to build keyboards, but if we excuse that as normal, otherwise, like, I just build stuff that feels good. But I, you know, people sometimes ask me questions about actuation and weights and all these different, you know, what's the best switch for this and what's the best, and I don't have good answers for there. I'm a filthy casual. I guess I'm a hardcore casual, if there's a word, because here I am, you know, building the 13th board of the year or whatnot. But for me, it's more about building than it is about like the extreme min-maxing of the boards. I just really enjoy making them. There's not a lot of stuff I do with my hands. Like I don't build stuff with wood. I'm not a very good artist, and this is like a really unique-ish hobby to be able to build things also that are then immediately functional, But yeah, it is. It's totally easy to just like dive off the deep end, which I would say like for a casual, I'm definitely deep-ended here in the sense that like the number of boards that I've built, but I see a lot of people building really intense, meme switches and going nuts on split on like the half plates and all that stuff. For me, that kind of stuff, I don't know. Like it's totally possible that I should build a partial plate board, and I might go like, holy shit, this is, what have I've been missing this the whole time, but I don't know. I'm not that detail oriented about boards in general. I know what feels good, and every board that I build, the litmus test for whether or not I did a good job is whether or not I would want to use it full time at work for a week. And of the 12 or so that I've built in the last year and a half, I would say probably 8 of them pass that. And the ones that don't pass it are the one that I built with Holy Pandas, I didn't like. And again, I'm curious to see what the Mass Drop Holy Panda ends up feeling like, because maybe I just didn't do a good job there. The 40s, that I had 2 40s, the minivan and the Pearl, just can't do it. And I also built a couple of 60s, and it's like you kind of only need one 60. You don't need multiples generally. So for me, it's just I wanted to build a TKL primarily for gaming. The Helios feel so good that I'm hoping that I will enjoy using them. Let's see, did I miss any switches here? Yeah, I missed like half a row. Cool. But I really like it, and I think that right now, for me, the thing that's starting to become apparent is like, I don't need to build 40 keyboards a year that I will use. I just know I won't use them. What happened with the Holy Panda board, so there's 2 things. At first, when I was building it, it was so unique feeling-wise, because the tactile bump is so insanely sharp. And that was unique. And it sounded so strange that I was sort of like, okay, this is neat. It's new, it's different, let's see how it feels. But I knew I needed to lube it. Whoops, just accidentally let go of it. I knew I needed to lube it. Sorry, bear with me. There we go. And the problem is that the Panda housings don't work with standard switch top openers. So when I was making the Holy Pandas, it took forever to get 60 of them open. And I wasn't sure at the time if I was going to lube them. And so I made 60 of them painstakingly, and then I went in and was like, okay, screw it. This PCB supports switch top opening. I will just lube them later. So I built the board, and then I tried to use it. And I used it for about 5 days, and my fingers were just absolutely exhausted. Like at the end of the day, that tactile bump is so intense that it genuinely, like, it made my fingers sore at the end of the day. And I'm not even a hard typist. Like, I don't bottom out that much. So I was like, okay, I guess I'm going to have to lube these. And I went to try to get the switch tops off and had this sudden realization. Oh, I can't get the switch tops off from above because of how I had to use a mini flathead screwdriver on each of the 2 legs of the switch top to get them off. And so when I went to take them off again, I was like, oh, it's physically impossible to get these switch tops off. And then I look at the board and I think, okay, I can desolder 60 switches, go through the process of slowly opening all 60 and lubing them to see if I like them anymore, or I can just put that board on a shelf and move on. That's what I did. So, who knows? I think maybe if I had lubed them, I'd be singing a different tune and I'd, be saying, hey, these are terrific. But I just couldn't do it. Couldn't do it. I missed half of the pad over here. So I bought in on the Mass Drop Panda group buy, and I will see if they're any better. I will lube them. Hopefully, it'll be easier to get their tops off, but who knows? They're using the original mold, so it probably won't be. I'll give them a shot at least and see how they feel. Okay, so just checking everything I soldered so far. Some of the, I think I said this at the beginning, but the way that this overhead light is reflecting down on these makes the solder actually like a perfect mirror. Can actually be a little bit hard to tell while I'm doing it if I got all of it. Let's see. All right, I got to figure out the bottom row, but I'm going to need to do a little bit of investigative work to do that. Or I'm going to have to put a switch in and then test the widths of the switches because placement's a little specific down there. It looks like I got all those. Okay. Before I move on to those, I guess I should let's just test this. Yeah, I could, you're right. I could switch springs as well. At some point for me, I get into a thing where I'm like, okay, the tactility is so sharp and it's so fatiguing that even if I lube them, make them lighter, do I actually like the bump at all? And I think what I came to realize is I don't like the bump that much. I did order some V2, in addition to the Helios, I ordered some V2 Xylants and some V2 Zelios, and I like the bump a lot. I don't think it's nearly as strong as everybody's saying it is. All right, I might need to shift. I might need to wiggle, like loosen this return and move it just a tiny bit. God, that's loose. But we'll see. Yeah, okay. I'm just gonna test this real quick since we've done this many. Let's open a switch hitter. Keyboard is set to my Mac. Sorry, ignore this for one moment. Okay. Let's give this a shot. So far, so good. Gonna have to trust that that second backspace works until I can program it. Opposite didn't do that. Right. Good. Okay. All right. Now then, let's do my 6-year-old is at the dentist right now, so my wife is messaging me to tell me that he's doing well. He lost one of his teeth a few months ago. He's about to lose his second tooth. It's bonkers watching kids grow. It's bonkers. All right. So first things first. Let's do the shift and the function key, which I believe go there and there. But I'm going to be a little bit safe on these before I solder them. Oh, these kits look identical. It's really hard to see. Right. Straight into the bump, faster drop off. Yep. Yeah. And I think I'm realizing I don't like the pre-travel as much. Oh boy, I'm gonna be really thrilled to turn off this fan. That's a really annoying sound. Okay, good. Yeah. Alright, let's do these two. I'll make sure I keep them as straight as possible. This one is a little crooked. I don't know why I coiled up this guy. Gotcha. Yeah, they did say they were going to use the same molds, so that's going to be fun to remove those tops. Who knows? Maybe they'll end up being my favorite. I doubt it. I don't know. Like Zeal, for some reason, I don't know if it's like confirmation bias, just because I've been using Zeal switches basically since I got into the hobby, but I don't know. They always seem, it's like right now if you hard press me to make a board and I could only use one set of switches for the rest of my life, like I might pick Xylence. I know that's crazy, but I might. And then if it couldn't be a Zeal switch, I think I'd go with box whites. I love the feel of a box white switch. But my heart is open and willing to accept something new. Solder one leg, make sure it's straight, by heating that leg and adjust it, then solder the second one with switches that don't clip into the plate forward. Yeah. That's what, so what I usually do is basically exactly what you just said, except I forget to only solder one leg, and so I solder both, and then I get into a situation where I need to loosen both and adjust slightly, which is pretty asinine. But this time, actually, yeah, okay. Sorry, for a second I thought I mis-soldered here, so I am gonna see if I can tweak this one just a tiny bit. All right, hold on. I can't tell. You know what? The other thing is with SA caps too, it's like you can get a switch as straight as you want, and then you put the cap on, and the stem is slightly crooked anyway. So it's always kind of like I gotta sort of. You know what? Let's do it like this. Let's actually just put these on and see if it looks crooked. Yeah, see, there's so much play. Anyway. Yeah, that seems fine. Actually, the return key is the one that I'm most concerned about because it has the loosest, I was gonna say the loosest hole. It's just look gross. What do I have here? Seems good. All right. All right, now, the bottom row is all, I can't remember. Are these all 125s or are these all 15s? I think they're all 125s, if I remember correctly. Let's just try to line them up and see. So I believe... I might be wrong. Maybe they're all 15s. Hold on a moment. I'm gonna look up. Whatever size they are, I know they are the size that fits the Oblivion modifiers, 125s, yeah. Okay, so 125s across the board on that side, 125s across the board on the other side, 4 on the right, 3 on the left. So I'm actually going to put this in here just so I can get a good idea for where that goes. And then I'm going to grab this guy. That's what I always say. I feel like I used to be, or like I never got good enough at determining. So that one's far right. I'm just gonna actually, yeah, okay. I'm off. That's far right, which would mean this has to be far right, I believe. No, yeah, far right. Alright, so there, 2, 3, and oh, you know what? I want to make sure that I use. I'm going to use the keys that I use most frequently. I want to ensure they're from that first run of lubing. Oh, yeah, thank you. Just delayed enough. Which is funny because I have this thing set to shortest delay possible, but it's still pretty bad. Alright, so this one I think is actually far right as well. Actually seems, nope, okay, it's not far right on that one. So left of the two. Come on. Good. Stay in there. Okay. And then on this side, it's the far right of the left one, I believe. My watch is trying to tell me to drink water. Actually, I think that's not correct, so it's fine. This one needs to go on the one in... Oh wait, far left, right? Far left? Far left? Has to be. I'm sure you're all enjoying how dumb this is. Far left, which would mean this would have to be far left. So now we've got left, which would mean this is one off there. And on the ground. I swear to God, everything that drops in my office just immediately disappears. Where the hell did that go? Oh, for Christ's sake. There it is. Alright. Awesome. See? Casual. Alright, so that goes there. Stay. And that goes... No, okay. That goes one over. I hate spaghetti bottom rows. Good. Okay. Done. Pain in my ass. Oh, come on. You asshole. That's gotta go far right. Has to, right? Did I pull one? Oh my God. Alright, let's just gonna solder these because I know these are correct. Or with the delay, I'll be told they're not correct right after I solder them. So. If someone told me right now that I had to solder LEDs into all these switches, I would quit the hobby forever. I can get a hold on this damn thing. I remember my very first stream, one of the comments was, prepare for everyone to tell you how bad you are at soldering. Which I thought was hilarious, because, like, why would anybody care? And I didn't actually get any of that, but I did mentally brace myself for it. I'm sure I'm terrible at it. My only goal, I don't know, I probably look like an idiot while I'm doing it, but my only goal is to make sure that the solders themselves are good. I go into every build with the idea that I will eventually have to sell this board to somebody who knows more about a board than I do, and I want them to look at the solder points and not say, you're an idiot. That's my only goal. Okay. There's 3. I know these 2 are good. Oh, I'm looking forward to turning this fan off. Okay. Finish line, coming to the finish line. Wave the, what is it, green flag? What's the flag they waved right before the last lap? Whatever that one is. It's not the checker. Green? I think it's green. Okay. But for some dumbass reason, I took these other 2 switches out. Let's just again. Okay, I ended up with extra switches, which is kind of, oh no, I'm one, okay. Oh, I guess it's like I always miscalculate something. This has got to go to the right. It has to. Right, and then if that's there, this is also going to go to the right. So we've got right, good. All right, last 2. And I realize, obviously, I should probably do that. Caps lock. Which I just need to grab a... No, I do not want you. What's caps lock? Caps lock is 175? Normally, right? Why don't I remember? Gotta be 175, right? I am going to go with the get modifiers. Yes, indeed. The problem is I ordered too many modifiers, so like I have a billion caps here all over my desk. Oh, I could have just grabbed that shift key, which would have just solved the problem. One of these I had flagged as slightly warped. Okay. And let's just make sure this goes in the right spot, which I guess it would have to go to the right. Yeah, of course. Okay. Whew. Yeah, it's right near the leg of the switch. Holy crap. All right. think that's it. Give it a test. Ended up with 2 extra. These are not lubed. These are. So I did, my very first board I did a stepped caps lock, primarily because I never use caps lock. I just set it to control anyway. And then, so much better. And then I got into a situation where the next couple of sets cap sets that I bought, which were all used, none of them had a stepped cap. So that became problematic for me, and because of that, I stopped doing it. Since then, I guess I end up with a stepped caps lock in every set that I have. But at some point, I was just like, I'll just be safer. And then when I started using 60s on Windows and started binding control to that key, I actually was glad that I didn't have the stepped caps lock, just because I was hitting it with my pinky a lot. Also, sometimes on a 60, I actually think it looks weird. On a TKL, it probably wouldn't look as weird. So on this was the very first key, build that I did, and I did not have, so I bought my first Karbon set, I bought used. It did not have the stepped caps. It actually was missing a few things, but I was still able to cover this board, except I didn't have a caps lock key, which was the worst. So it took me a long time at Mech Market to find somebody who would sell me just the caps lock key, which I did. They actually sold it to me from one of those PMK grab bags. And then I ended up buying another set of Karbon at one point because the Karbon set that I had to begin with was pretty damaged. And it had the stepped caps lock. But that sort of, for some reason, just scared me off on stepped caps lock, which is kind of silly. So I just stopped doing it. Let me get this out of the way without hopefully knocking everything off. Okay. All right. Let's test this one more time, just because I added some switches. And why don't you get out of my way? Oh, where is my? There we go. Had my keyboard was attached to my. I've got all my keyboards routed through a USB 3 hub, so I switch between the Mac and the PC. And sometimes I don't have a visual indicator for which one it's on, so sometimes I will accidentally not switch. What's going on here? For some reason, this will not switch. Okay. Is this, interesting? I'm still streaming. Oh, weird. The UI doesn't work, but I can switch using... I can switch using my Stream Deck, but I can't switch using the XSplit UI, which seems to be frozen. Appears to still be streaming, hopefully. The light's still red. Oh, this is very strange. So I can switch this way, but I can't switch using the UI. So I apologize. Oh, actually, you know what? I can fix this real quick by just adding a... This is so dumb that I have to do this using... Like, I have to create a Stream Deck switcher here for this to work. Let's see if it did. Funny. Okay, whatever. It works now. Okay, let's clear this out. Hopefully you can still... Hopefully I'm still streaming. I don't know. Guess we'll find out in a minute. Okay, here we go. That F11 key doesn't sound so great compared to the others. Some of these switches, even though they're lubed, sound a little wonky. I think they just need to be broken in. Okay. Oops. Okay, so I think the caps lock thing is a programming thing because I put it into the right side and it's probably only set up to use the left side right now. Good. That's a function key. Okay, that's a... Okay, those are gonna need programming, yeah. Okay, cool. So this is boot mapper. Oh, weird, now I can use the UI. Okay, whatever. Just in case, I'm just gonna put this. We'll just make sure this thing is still going. Yep, okay, good. All right. I am going to, do I not have bootmapper installed on this PC? That can't be possible. That cannot be possible. There is no way. That doesn't really matter. I can program it later. Let's put it together. Okay. I guess we don't touch hot stuff now. See if I can make some room to get this off the desk. I guess first up, I should put the feet on this thing. Just so it stops being so loud on the desk. Doesn't look like there's going to be room for foam in this guy, so hopefully it won't be too loud. Oh, I hate it when the... I'm not a huge fan of this logo in general, but I think, Jesus, I think with it being white on black, it actually looks really neat. When I ordered it, I didn't realize it was going to be white because the order page was not particularly explicit about exactly what the default weight color was going to be, or at least I don't remember it being. So I was pleasantly surprised when I got it and it was white and not brass, because you never really see it anyway, but oh, come on. Favorite board in my collection, oh boy. I guess as of right now, there's like, Jesus, there's sort of a nostalgia answer, I would say, or like a, man, these rubber feet are like slightly too large for these holes. This is hilarious. I might need to adjust this later. The nostalgia answer, or like the answer based on the build and stuff, is I really like my Hypersphere Nova Touched HHKB just because it was like just a lot of work to make and is such a specific board and it's so insanely expensive to build because I did not have a Nova Touch. So I had to buy one only to destroy it, which was kind of hilarious. And it was just fun. I had to like, Dremel or drill out a hole in the plastic, which I just figured was going to destroy it. It just had so many... I was terrified of that build because I did it fairly early on and was really nervous I was going to destroy both a Nova Touch and an HHKB. And when I didn't, that was very rewarding. And it felt really nice to type on. Though I think my mistake with that board was I used Zeal's thick lube for the corners of the sliders, and over time I don't know that was the right choice. It was what everybody was recommending, but I think for me personally it created a bit of a mushiness that I think over time I realized to be a mistake to do that. So at some point I could go in there and hit it with, clean it up a little bit, and maybe it'd be better. But I really love that board. I really love the way that board looks. It's just such a pretty... I got one of the gold stickers from one of the group buys for the sticker runs. I went all out on that board, and then I ended up putting Retro SA on it, which just looks so perfect on that build. I really love that board a lot. That said, if I had to choose today between that board, typing on that board and typing on the M60 that I just built with Xylence, I'd probably choose the M60 because I think day to day, as much as I love the sound of Topra, I think I don't like typing on it every day as much as I wanted to, if that makes any sense. I also still, nostalgia-wise, I still really enjoy the B Mini that I built just because it It's the very first thing I built. It's got these stupid little quirks where like I didn't realize when I was building it that switch top removal was a thing that wouldn't always be the case. So I didn't lube the switches. I started soldering. I started with the 4 corners of the board. It was my first keyboard I ever had soldered. I was really nervous I was going to destroy the thing. I had never desoldered before. So I soldered the 4 corners and then realized that to lube the switches, they needed to be lubed before building the board. So I paused on soldering and lubed all the rest of the switches, but I never went back and desoldered those 4 switches because I didn't know how to desolder, or I was scared of it, I guess. So on that board, still to this day, the regular keys sound like this, but the corners sound like this. And it's all 4 corners. Escape, Control, right, and pause. Now pause, who cares? Escape, not as big of a deal. Left control, definitely not as big of a deal. But the right arrow one is terrible because I feel it every time, especially when you're doing selection work. It's terrible. But I have nostalgia for it because, you know, the first board. So I think right now, honestly, as silly as it sounds, given that's the newest board I built, the M68 is just so much fun to type on. It's so heavy and so solid, it's like a damn tank. Yeah, and that first HHKB. And I really like, I built that Royal Glam, the Royal Glam one, Royal Glam wooden wrist rest case with the carbon fiber plate. And I think it's a Centrex 60. That board with box whites sounds so good, and it was really fun to type on. My biggest complaint with it is that the Royal Glam wood is just low quality, and so it bleached out really quickly where my wrists sit on the wrist rest, which, you know, sort of defeats the purpose. And so it basically for me to use that long term, I would need to take the board back out and restain the wood, and it's like, that's a commitment that at some point, you know, maybe I'll do that at some point, but for the most part, I just sort of moved on from it. But it sounds really nice, and it looks really nice. I put SA Grade on it, which is a printed SA set, which is not very common. But because of that, has all unique Mac style. It's a very much made for Mac Legend set. It looks really cool. I like that board a lot. I'm excited about this board, honestly. I've never built a TKL, and I'm hopeful that this is going to sound good. Now, I said there was no room for foam, and I'm pretty sure there's no room for foam, but I'm just curious to see how this, when this is seated, if there is room for one layer, because there is a tiny bit of a gap in there. It's hard to tell how deep that gap is, though. I might be able to get one sheet of foam in there. Maybe. All right, you know what? I'm gonna put it together. Worst case scenario, I can add the foam after the fact. We'll see how it sounds. What's your favorite board right now? All right. Oh, where'd I move those other? Yeah, agreed. I'm not the biggest fan of these screws, but whatever. Nice. Yeah, I missed out on the canoe. I'm not actually sure how I missed out on it. I think that's canoe is Percent Studios, right? If I remember correctly, or am I confusing them with someone else? I feel like the people who made Canoe are about to make a new one that's being run on Master Up, I think. That's kind of an interesting retro style board. Yeah, the VEA, I love the way it looks. My biggest problem with the VEA is the kind of switch puke you have to do, or cap puke you have to do to fill it. Like, I really dislike that for most sets, you're going to have like an upside down shift as a spacebar, which just drives me crazy. A lot of sets these days are starting to add more blank small space or small spaces and stuff, but like at the time that VEA was really taking off, it frustrated me, the idea of having a shift key as the thing, as the spacebar. Nice. Yeah, also, right, the macro keys on the left are also a thing where you have to potentially either have multiple sets, like you're saying, or you have to be okay with it being kind of random. Which, granted, that's the case for a lot of boards, where you know, at least a few switches are always a little bit random, and you know, I'm used to that. Like, to me, I always thought it was really weird. I really dislike code as a label. I would always prefer it says meta. But apparently I'm in the minority there, because a lot of people will swear by it saying code. I just don't. As someone who writes code, I can't think of it as not meaning like something kind of goofy, hackery. Like, oh, this is the code key. I know that it probably means actually, like, you know, it doesn't mean literally writing code. It just means it's the code key. But I don't know. I dislike the. I dislike that, but. Yeah. Solarius Dark was one of my great disappointments. I think I've complained about it on my stream before. I don't like the way it turned out. But that was a whole thing. I like the way it turned out for itself. Like, as its own unique thing. If you didn't see the renders and stuff, I would have been fine. It's the way that it turned out in comparison to the renders that I was disappointed by. Like, I've looked at it since, and it looks fine on its own. I just can't mentally divorce in my head, I wanted it to look a very specific way. Yeah, I totally get what you're saying. Like, I've seen photos of it also that look really good. Like, depending on the light, it can look the way it was intended, actually. It's just, it's got to be real dark in the room. Which I think is kind of hilarious. Like, that after all that, like, basically it's got to be nearly pitch black in your room for it to look the way it was intended, potentially. All right, let's throw some keys on this thing, see how it sounds. I want to look for... XAV. I always have to, like, mentally ask myself. Where's the scoop? There it is. Oh, you know what I might do? I might do WASD in a different color, just since I use this we will be using this primarily as a gaming. Is that scooped? Hard to tell. Doesn't feel particularly scooped. Yeah, I never actually saw a finished Necro. That was just, it felt like Necro just went on forever. I really like the color scheme. Like, I like the way it looks, but it's just not my, it's not my personal style. I probably wouldn't use it day to day. I like the way it looked though, but it was also just it seemed like such a long, drawn out buy. Was that because of custom color situation that they had to resolve, or actually can't remember why it took so long. All right, for right now, I'm just gonna go ahead and put the standard WASD on here, but I may actually change them to the gray alphas. Ooh, this feels good. Let's see. Oh, did it really fail? Oh, interesting. Okay, I thought it initially succeeded. What am I looking for? Oh, there's the Y. I always think it's really interesting how there's sort of this thing that occurs in the group buy community, which is everybody will go gaga for a set and then say like, I'm in, but you know, you actually get to the buy and not a lot of people actually pony up. I think the whole idea of a interest check obviously makes sense. You have to have an interest check, but I think there have been quite a few buys I've been watching where it's like the interest check was gangbusters and then it fails in the group buy, and I think sometimes people take a little bit too much trust in the group. Where's my B? Oh. People take a little bit too much trust in the group buy or the interest check part, and I think Necro and there were a few others actually last year maybe or so that had that suffered from the same fate of everybody saying, oh, this is the best, I'm definitely in, and then it fails and you're like, oh, thanks guys, I guess you weren't exactly in, were you? You know what, I think I'm gonna do that WASD thing. Oh god, help me. I really have to go through this whole deal. You know, the one thing that... Does this have... yes. I really dislike... One of my least favorite things is function rows that go color on, color off, color on. I hate that so much. I'm so thrilled that people are now starting to run SA sets with the option to match all the colors to the same, because I really don't like it at all. Here are the Git modifiers. I was hoping I would be able to just quickly find WASD here, but of course it would be, it's a statistical guarantee that it will be the last caps that I pull out of here, because I'm trying to find them. Okay, well, maybe we'll get lucky here. Every key but. Every key but. Closer. Huh? Come on, W. Hey, look at that. All right. Boy, now that I'm looking at this gray, it's the first time I'm really looking at this set in detail. This gray is a little browner than I would have preferred, but whatever. Let's see, is this the Git set? No, this is the Git set. Excuse me. All right, so let's slide this up. I haven't decided yet whether or not I'll do white for the function row or not. Jesus. Don't I already have... Is it 7? Why do I have another 7? Okay. Oh, I guess this has both 7s. I could have sworn I took... Did I accident... Oh, damn it, I did. I accidentally bought 2... maybe they were just in 2 sets that had... Maybe two parts of the set had the 7 space bars, because I have 2 sets of them now, which is strange. Wait, this can't be the only part of the Git bit, right? No, I think I'm looking at the compatibility. Oh, Jesus. Test, move. Oh, that's the other set. Can't remember what that one was called. Where the hell are they? No. There they are. Okay, now I've got a ton of them here, which is annoying. There we go. These are the ones we're looking for. Okay. So we will commit on return. We will... Jesus, that's a big space. That is a meaty ass space. That always seems like such a waste to me that somebody would, I don't know. I don't end up using, we'll rebase on left shift there. Oh, do I have a, you know, I don't actually think that I have a gray 6U space, 625 spacebar, because I think actually the gray, yeah, the grays are only in 7s. That seems very strange to me. That I would end up with 2 7U spacebars through sets. I bought the, I'm talking out of my ass. Here it is. It's just buried as hell in here. All right, good. It's like I always try to decide which side has a tiny bit more of a slip. God, this spacebar is going to be marked up in 2 minutes of using this keyboard. It is so matte finish. What the hell? Yeah, my thumbprint, it's gonna rub the thumb side off of that basically within an hour of use of this keyboard. But whatever. Okay. Now, we got the double backspace situation to deal with the git modifiers, but I think I have it in coverage here. Now we've also got left side shift, which I think is going to be check out. Here we can go with the, wait, is that? That's the git logo's the right way up, right? That looks upside down to me, but that's the correct way, right? It points down, I think. So if this goes here, we gotta go all gray on the top then. I'm looking for, so I have clean here. Oh wait, hold on a second. Is that the right? Let's see. Do I have, this is too much. I'm wondering if I should just go all gray everywhere but alphas. So alpha, like gray on num row as well. Let's just put these in here. There's a little bit of flexibility in the middle of this board, which I'm not super thrilled with, but. I've somehow managed to not screw up the key order on a stream yet, I don't think. I do have a photo that I posted once where the S and D were swapped, which is pretty good. Okay, so rather than control, does it really? It says control. Push. There we go. Cool. And now we can do. Yeah, so I think I'll go. Do I have anything that is? I got a lot of stuff here. I'm trying to decide. So I could put a revert here. Let's do this. And then I will try. Oh wait, are these? Oh crap. Okay, hold on. So these are different colors. So the grays of the alphas are different than the grays of the modifiers. Which means I don't know if I want to go. Oh, that kind of sucks, actually. Well, so does that mean? I feel like, oh, okay, so I still have to have bicolored. Unless I go all white on the function row, I have to have bicolored function keys because these are gray on, gray off, like light gray, dark gray. That kind of blows. Why? You bastards. Okay, well, let's put arrow keys on while I'm here. Okay, this is becoming cap insane here now. We're starting to really. What are the sculpts here? Hard to tell. Jeez. These are odd. What rows are these, for God's sake? Oh, it's the bottom row? Okay, the bottom. I didn't realize that the bottom row is like is not 3 or 4 or whatever. Okay, that makes more sense. Okay. So then the question is, do I want a... I know most people, that's supposed to be how it is, right? But I actually really dislike that. Can never decide which way I actually prefer this. So I think technically it's supposed to be this way. Yeah, okay. All right, fine. Fine. And now we have... I don't think I have enough coverage for any of the cluster here or here. I think those all have to just be standard keys, so... All right, I see I have a git. Page down, page up. Oh, this is annoying. Okay, I need to move some of these out of here. Down, up, right. Get these out of my face. Don't need this guy now. I don't think I have coverage for Git style keys that are related to page up, page down, etc. I think those have to be. I do have a function key in here. Gray numero. Wait, that's probably a good idea. Good. There are too many keys to choose from here. Oh wait, do I have? Aha! I might actually have all dark. Oh, I totally missed this. This is the thing. I have too many goddamn bags of caps here, so like it's hard to tell what is what. I think I actually have all dark here. I'm gonna see. So let's see. Got 9. Wait, these ones are shiny. This is a weird... What the hell's going on? These ones are super shiny. Especially compared to the others. Why the hell are these so shiny? These look like they're made with a completely different plastic. Oh, that's a little annoying, actually. The rest of these keys are not shiny like this. Also, why is this only... Oh, I took the 12 out. Boy, I'm a real genius today. Okay, I think that in here... This is starting to get out of control with the caps. The ridiculous part is this isn't even half of them. Yes, I do. Sweet. Go all the way. Awesome. These are very odd shiny finish. I really don't understand. Oh, god damn it. Ignore that. I just a minute ago said I wasn't doing that. Said I wouldn't make that mistake, and then I did. Come on. Okay. That, like that. And then we got the 3 junk keys that I'll never touch. Make sure I don't have any in there. None in there. Okay. I'm pretty sure I don't have any Git specific keys that fit that row. So we'll go with the more standard keys. I don't even know what order they go in, actually. I have to look at the switch hitter because I haven't had a TKO in so long. Excuse me. Print screen, screen lock, pause. Okay. Pause. Trying to see what's in this hole. Okay. Let's see. Where the hell are you? Well, I could also just realize I can put some of these other ones in here. Like we can put git clean. Oh no, because I need these. Okay, right. Right. Okay, so this was pause goes on the far right. Lock, middle. And print goes here. Cool. Okay. And then bottom row. Ideally some separate colors here. So we got fetch, we got stash, we have a green or a yellow. Is this gonna be all? Really only have one. Huh. I guess I could go blue all the way across the bottom. I was hoping for a little bit more color on that bottom row. Let's see if some of these are all too big. Blue, green, but that's like the math symbols, which, okay, screw it. We'll have to go, so we'll go red on meta there. And then we'll do, oops, wrong size. Clone, stash, fetch. I was hoping it would be nice if there was another red key that I could, oh, perfect. Fuzz, get in there. Pull, I'll do, nope, too big. Where's my smaller, let's see, status, there we go. Merge, status, and for the bottom right corner, we will use pull. Sure, why not? Cool. Tab. What? Tag. Okay. And now let's just do blue legend on bottom unless you go code, which is red. Yeah, I just ended up fetch and pull. Close enough. And again, I don't think I have git keys that fit these, so we'll just go with standard stuff here. Wait, that's not what I wanted. All right, yeah. What the hell? Why would page down be? Oh, I guess if you're, oh yeah, if you didn't have a top row there. So I actually want to be careful here and not pick. Let's look over here, actually, it's easier. Page up. We've got insert. We've got, that end is too tall. This end. Is that home? Yes. Home. And we are looking for delete. Okay. Cool. And now, just check the messages that I'm receiving. Let's see here. So now the question is, should I bother with gray numero? Or should I do white? If it was the same gray, no question, we'll do gray right across. The fact that it's light gray bothers me. But let's give it a shot, see what it looks like. I think it still might look good. Yeah, that might still look good. Gonna have to do one of those arm sweeps just at the end of this and just sweep all the way across the whole thing. That's funny, this delay is great because you said white, now I'm already a bunch of keys into gray. You might be right though. Let's see how this looks when it's all in. I think you might be right though. I really wish the grays were the same here, because my preference would be that it was, oh actually, but I do definitely want to go, see that's where it starts to bother me, is when they're butted up against each other like that. I guess if I could go light gray across the whole top, maybe it's not so bad. It's when it's bounded on the sides that might be a little bit weird, but let's just see. Jesus. Getting sick of digging switches out of these things. Alright. Where the hell are you? What am I looking for? 9? 0? Boy, they're really hiding. It's gonna be the last two that I flip over. Of course it is. Boy, this music is terrible. I apologize. 0. And we've got... Pick them up. Where are you? There you are. That, and then the question is, how does this look if I then put... I only have a couple options here if I want to stick to these. I thought I had... Did I not have... So I've got the white version. Oh, there it is. What do we think? It's not terrible. There's kind of a nice, you know, bit of a synchronicity with the bottom there. So there's a little more sound out of this. Interesting. Every other key here there's some sound coming out of this return key. Ugh, that I'm gonna have to fix. You can hear this. It's a little little more in there. This one is dead silent. This one is dead silent. And this one's got a little... I'm honestly not even sure what that sound is being caused by. It almost sounds... The thing is, I'm not sure it's lube. I actually think the cap is rubbing on the cap above it. Yeah, that's what it is. Okay, so that one I am gonna have to I'm gonna have to desolder and push down just a tiny bit, because it's that sound is actually it's hard to show, but it's actually the top of this cap is rubbing the bottoms of these two caps. Visually, it did not look like that was going to be the case, because it looks like it's in the right spot. But now that I'm looking at it with a critical eye, it is like a half a millimeter too high. So thankfully that is not a problem with the stabilizer, it's a problem with the solder point. I gotta bring it down a tiny bit. Or it could be the commit cap, truthfully. So, but that's not a big deal, that I can fix. I may just swap out the commit cap for checkout or something and see if it resolves the problem. Otherwise, this sounds good. Good stuff. All right, well, that's gonna do it for me. Thank you very much for hanging out. I'm very excited to program this and start using it. It looks really nice, nice weight. And I've got a million caps to clean up here now, which is cool. So thanks for hanging out, and yeah, I'm excited to actually use it. So we'll see. I'll record a video of just the sound of it once I fix this, and so we can see how the Helios work. But yeah, definitely. Thank you for hanging out, and congrats on the top clack thing. Look forward to seeing you on there, and I will have another one soon. That CA66, hopefully soon. A couple others. So thanks very much, and I'll see you next time.